Hi everybody, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you for joining us. Well, we are tracking Ex-Cyclone Hola as it moves in towards the New Zealand area. Half of the storm is going to stay out at sea. That's the positive news, and quite different to Fahey and Gita, which fully and directly hit New Zealand. This is the centre of the low right now, and the upper part of the North Island just sticking up down to the bottom of the screen. That's Northland and Auckland, where the rain clouds are now starting to move in. On the animated wind map for 1 p.m. on Monday, you can see the centre of the low, and you can very clearly tell it's getting into that extra tropical transition, which is just about completed, and that's because of the shift out of the equator, and the middle part of the low, that's the clear part that you can see where the change is happening, is no longer perfectly circular. It's now being stretched and torn apart as it runs into wind shear caused by this large high down near the Chatham Islands. So that's 1 o'clock Monday. By midnight tonight, the centre of the low coming in somewhere around either Eastern Bay of Plenty, East Cape, or it might just stay out at sea and curve around that side. Now the winds, they're getting variable. They'll be strong southwesterly behind the front, or behind the storm I should say, and further south you've got those winds and rain pushing into places like Hawke's Bay, but further south of that you're really not part of this system. So this is where we are at 6 p.m. on Monday, the 6 p.m. Monday rain map. The low just to the north of New Zealand still, and it is coming in perhaps a little bit slower than what we thought on Sunday. It is coming down towards East Cape. Rain, heavy at times for the upper half. However, there'll still be large areas of just patchy normal rain and also patchy normal winds. I mean, the worst of the winds are only right around the centre. So if the centre of the storm stays out at sea, that certainly spares some of the regions around New Zealand having wind damage. By midnight tonight, the centre of the low coming in, and you can see how elongated it's starting to get as it stretches and changes shape. Rain continues, but look, it starts to clear around Northland and perhaps even the western side of the North Island as that low starts to track in at midnight tonight, and then heavier rain and stronger winds pushing into Hawke's Bay and Gisborne. So we really are just being brushed by this storm. The worst of it is actually out at sea in the southeastern quadrant. We're getting the western and southwestern sides of it, which are still pretty strong and blustery, but it could be worse if this was making a direct hit. And then by lunchtime Tuesday, the storm's pretty much gone. This is it. Out here, the Chatham Islands have now got some heavy rain, some strong winds, maybe even some tropical air as it starts to push down over them. But over in New Zealand, or the mainland of New Zealand, I mean, obviously the Chathams are still part of us, but we've got the big strong southwesterlies blowing through. So that will actually dry things out around the eastern side of the country. We've still got some showers on the west. That's a separate system there, southwesterlies blowing through for Tuesday. And then we get to Wednesday, and it's another potential tropical cyclone over in the Coral Sea, but don't stress too much. This one looks very short-lived, low end sort of stuff. High pressure is pushing in for New Zealand though by Wednesday, and by Thursday that high still somewhat over us. Big storm in the Southern Ocean, potential tropical cyclone, a very low end one up here in the Coral Sea, and it does have some sort of path towards New Zealand. This is the Friday map. You can see the low up there, but there's a big high building, and all the data and maps I've been looking at, because we are tracking this one as well, is suggesting the high will rush in first and stop that from coming towards us. But there's a lot of tropical air sitting up just north of New Zealand by the end of this week and this coming weekend. So it's going to be a bit of a race. Who gets here first, the low or the high? The data at the moment is backing that the high will come in first. So that is the next few days. Busy March weather, fairly typical to be honest with you for this time of the year. That is all from me. We'll update you again around lunchtime on Tuesday.